If you're thinking, Elsa, I've heard that name before. You've been in this business too long. It's time to retire. Okay, confession. When I was about 7 or 8, I think my first computer had an Elsa sound card. And I was like, surely this isn't the same company, same Japanese company. They're revitalizing, they say. And they've got a really impressive line of displays, but also an art display, specialty display, circular display, graphics cards, motherboards. It actually seems like pretty high-end kit. It's either popular outside of North America, China, everywhere else, so it's pretty interesting stuff. I also ran into Adata XPG on my quest to find DDR5 6000 that works on AM5 with 4 sticks. This is Adata's registered error correcting DIMM. This is Sapphire Rapids, so this is server memory, but it's running way outside what the JetX supports. And we're getting 140 gigabytes per second with a latency of 75.4 nanoseconds. This is, of course, W790 with a Sapphire Rapids CPU like we've taken a look at, but remember DDR, so 6,000 megatransfers per second, over 6,000 megatransfers per second, up to 6,400. Look at that, it's madness. And of course, even with 2 DIMMs running at insane speeds, you can still get 117 gigabytes per second and 58 nanoseconds of latency. This is on the Z790 Apex, and Adata was even showing off a 9,000 megatransfer per second kit in this system. Although I don't see the specs. SeaSonic was also at COMPUTEX and showing off their power supplies. No real surprises. You sort of expect SeaSonic to SeeSonic their power supplies. I mean, that makes sense, right? They've also got the Vertex series. This is a normal size ATX power supply. It's not extended depth or anything like that, but it's still fully modular and it's 1200 watts. So for, a compact mid-tower build or even a smaller ITX build that still has room for a full-size power supply, Vertex will give you 1200 watts. And then, of course, brand new SFX power supplies or updated Focus SFX power supplies.
Yes, Focus SFX and power supply is our 2021 version, and it has compact size of the SFX. And
I'm here at Xigmatek, and they're showing off cases and power supplies and fans and accessories and all sorts of fun stuff. First up are cases and power supplies. They're featuring 1100 watts, 1200 watts, and more. There's a new design that takes a page from industrial electronics. They're using like the old school coil transformers, but this is actually not really old school. You see, this technology has been developed in parallel in industrial applications. And so they're sort of using an industrial design for their power supply to deliver 1100 watts, 1200 watts, and more, because these power supplies have the 600 watt PCIe Gen 5 connection. I mean, this is a 1250 watt power supply in almost the standard ATX configuration. If 1250 watts won't do it for you, maybe 2000 watts will. This is just, it feels like a block of copper is what I'm handling. And if we look at it, we've actually got 2 600 watt PCIe Gen 5 connections on this single power supply. 1992 watts just through the 12 volt rails on this. It takes serious engineering to do that and to do that safely, but that's where we are with our power supplies, because that's where we are with our GPUs and our CPUs. They use a lot of electricity. 2000 watts might be a little bit of a problem for North American breakers, but it's fine, it's fine. Next up, we're going to take a look at modular fans. Of course, Xigmatek, they've been known for their coolers and their fans, but they've got these. These are sold in a kit of 3, and they're modular. And so they just snap together and they unsnap. And the idea is you lower the amount of cables that you have to deal with as far as RGB and as far as actually connecting your fans. So if you want a certain aesthetic at the front of your case, then this would give it to you. But you've probably got to have a tempered glass case in order to do that, right? Well, Xigmatek is launching a new line that they call the Aqua Ultra. It's shipping in black and white, and pink is going to come a little bit later. You can get a pink case, yeah. It's designed to draw in air from the bottom and exhaust air out the back. In fact, the back side panel is entirely mesh.
And go through this hole and here. Yeah, on the back.
Oh, it goes down through there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like, because it's tempered glasses, right? The airflow is not as good as the mesh one, but this is something we can come up, to get a...
Yeah, you could always do a mesh top instead of glass, I guess.
We have. That's our first generation. The second Like we had customer asking for 3-piece timber glasses.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. So because this is a second generation design, their first generation actually used mesh for the top. They still include the fan bracket, but it is removable, and so you can see that you just have pure tempered glass at the top here, and you've got the exhaust out the back, and you've got plenty of room for airflow out the side as well as the back with the intake at the bottom and the side here. For front panel I/O, it's Type C, Type A, and 2 USB 2.0 ports. So you got a total of 4 Type A, headphone, microphone, you got an LED button, a reset button, and a power button. So there's no shortage of power buttons here. The other case that caught my eye was their test bench PC. You can remove the glass top and use it like a test bench. There's a pretty ample chamber on the inside for drives or whatever sort of horrors you want to hide inside your case, but you can also just put the tempered glass piece on top. It's a 4-piece tempered glass top that just sits on this case, and the back is open. So you pull air in from the front, and you've got the cool front panel connections here, and then the airflow from the radiator in this case just sort of sweeps over the entire machine and it goes out the back of the machine. All of the intake happens at the front here, and then the entire back of the machine is exhaust. Xigmatek also has some lower cost tower machines, Endorphin series, Endorphin 9, 6, and 3, ITX, Mini ATX, and full-size ATX. And it's a similar design philosophy except mesh top. You got a magnetic dust filter on the top with these. And you've got some options in terms of, whatever suits your build. So I'm here at Emdoor, and they're sort of well known for laptops, tablets, and everything else under the sun. But what caught my eye was this. So there's something different about the display here, and so I asked them about it. And while it's not quite e-ink, this is a very long life device in terms of battery life, because it is a different display technology. It's not e-ink exactly, because it responds quickly, unlike e-ink, but it is an extremely low power display. It doesn't respond quite as fast as traditional LCD, but this display is very easy on the eyes. So,
hello, I'm Emdoor Digital General Manager, Bao Jun.
Is it what is this display technology called?
We call it a paper screen.
Paper screen, yeah. Emdoor calls this paper screen, and you can lower the brightness. It is surprisingly readable, shockingly readable. Can you buy these yet? Are these available for sale yet?
Yes, it's available, but currently we only one sample here because for the show we needed to take more from here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's available for sale.
I also ran into FSP Group when I was at COMPUTEX. Power delivery chargers and power systems, their stuff goes well beyond just power supplies that we've reviewed. You should check those out. FSP Group's getting into the case game. So what FSP Group is doing here that's a little different is your braided fancy cables, well, their power supplies are modular, so you can get this as a package deal. The case, the power supply, and the braided cables, and that's what FSP Group will set you up with. And of course, FSP Group has their full line of power supplies, which we've taken a look at. SFXL for your small form factor builds, but the twist here is this is 1200 watts. That's madness, 1200 watts. PCIe Gen 5 ready to go, and look at that form factor. For the new 1 kilowatt power supplies, they're actually packing in a heat pipe and a slim fan in order to be able to get sufficient cooling to pack in a kilowatt in a totally normal size ATX power supply. And it's still 80 plus platinum efficiency rating. And the other power supply that I wanted to show off for FSP Group was this one, because this is actually 80 plus titanium. It is it's an industrial grade design, but the rating has to do with the quietness rating and the fact that it is 1 kilowatt. So if you want to run Sapphire Rapids and dual 4090s or dual H100s, this is the power supply for you. Oh, I've seen this power supply before. No, you haven't. It's 2500 watts. In case you're wondering, the tower cooler has 7 heat pipes with a copper base. Something that is a little unique here is that you don't actually have to take the fan off to do the assembly. I'm sure that OEMs and builders that are looking to use this kind of a fan, it's an offset design, so the towers sit a little back from where it's actually making contact with the CPU. You don't actually have to take the fan out. There's enough of a gap here that you can get the screwdriver in there to take the screws out, as long as you got a long screwdriver. And if a dual tower cooler won't do it for you, you can get up to 420 millimeters in a dual chamber liquid cooler design. I'm going to try to do this on a 13th gen Intel CPU and see how it goes and see what sort of performance I get. But I've really got to find something like this in the 420mm variety for both STR4 and Sapphire Rapids. That can't come fast enough. Power grid and power distribution system and EV charging and all that was a big thing at this year's show. But FSP Group was kind of surprising because they're actually doing the whole power grid, power distribution thing. They've got an on-grid and an off-grid power distribution system, including a battery backup system that they say has a design lifetime of 10 years. The batteries are designed to still have 85% of their capacity in a normal home residential usage scenario after 10 years. You can have the off-grid scenario where you have solar power that is feeding the battery units, and it'll try to provide direct solar, but you'll fall back to the battery storage for when there's not enough solar energy coming in. And then there's a three-way where you've got batteries, solar, and electrical. And the distribution hub thing that they have for that is also designed to last more than 10 years. But they sort of say you need to replace the batteries and deal with that after 10 years. So something to keep an eye on.